All right, everyone. This is the outside of my installation. This right here is the right entrance. This over here is the left entrance. So, let's just go ahead and choose this one. People were given the option of choosing either of them. So we gotta get this curtain out of the way and we enter this dark, ethereal space with many mirrors. So this takes us around the corner. We've just gone from a 2.5 foot width of space to a 4 foot width of space. Considerable difference. This is a threshold right here. This is a blacklight reactive rope. We can go either this direction now, or we can go this direction now. Let's try this direction. Here the ceiling lowers itself with the fabric. The fabric is also very conveniently hiding many of the electronic components. And here we see some nice fabric right here. Participants were encouraged to touch and interact with the space. So these are two different materials. It's a bit harder to see in this lighting, but they both have a very different texture. The one on the right is insanely soft, I must say, and people verbatim told me how much they love touching it. And some of the comments on my questionnaires even said that they wanted more fabric specifically like this one because of how darn comfortable it was. And so now we have a crossroad once again. So this space will actually lead towards the other exit/entrance. This space is the widest open space. This is what I call the, wide open space. You guessed it. This space was designed to have the most interaction. Incidentally, many of the features I had planned for that actually got saved for the hopefully still coming phase 2. In the meantime, I actually got great success with what is in here. People had a lot of fun with this tulle fabric, and it's actually pretty great. It's not entirely here anymore, but the last time I walked in here yesterday, people had filled all of the balloons in this space in this, which I thought was pretty neat. You know, it just shows what people do when they're given freedom to interact with the space as they please. I also got quite a few comments from people telling me that the balloons were one of their favorite features. I had a few people going by themselves, and one of them told me that the balloons made him feel not alone. Someone also said the same thing about this fan, actually. So something about movement. They're the kinetic movement of these in contrast to the static nature of the rest of the environment was comforting for them. These are some chimes that were also encouraged to be interacted with. This right here is a light, and this right here is a light. So one of the questions in my questionnaire asked if these lights were different. They look like the same type of lighting. The color's slightly different, but they do look the same. But incidentally, if you are curious, you find out that it's actually, this one is motion reactive. I would say, I'll have to quantify the data still, but definitely less than half of participants noticed this feature, which I thought was a little interesting, just because the sensor itself is actually very explicitly right there. And I did leave a comment that everything was intentionally left where it is in this space. So just an interesting observation. So now we bring ourselves to my favorite feature that was actually also everyone else's favorite feature who found this space. So I made 2 of these boxes, and I encourage people again to be very curious and touch things and open things, and if they did that, they would find these flashlights, which then reveal hidden messages. There's quite a few hidden messages in here. One of my favorite ones, if I can find it, hold on, yes. Find all 5 numbers. A quest. I received very, very good feedback from this particular quest. I also have various other messages in here that are easier to read in person given this lighting. But quests like that with the numbers, people were very engaged with. I got a lot of good comments, both in writing and verbally, regarding these. And so, people, it was interesting seeing that the people who did not find these flashlights were generally in here between 1 and 4 minutes, depending on how curious they are. And the people that found the flashlights were usually in here between 12 and 20 minutes. Now over here, you'll find that this is a different color of ink, and that's because I left this message up here. Draw something. And then it was up to you to look down and find that I had hidden a blacklight pen right here. That is also invisible under black, or the opposite, invisible when there is not blacklight. So, this is another way of collecting data without actually having to ask people anything, because I was able to just come in and see all of the things that have been drawn. And so, we can assume that each one of these was, who let the dogs out? Who, I say? Anyway, we can assume that each one of these drawings was drawn by a single person, and so counting these, which I'll do later, can tell me generally how many people found this particular message and chose to interact with it. I thought it was interesting also that then people extended it to over here. So I wrote this right here. What do they think of this? And people seem to respond by drawing more things like this mushroom or this wonderful sunset, this flamey thing. Oh, we got all sorts of stuff up here. It's quite interesting. So now that we have the pen, or whatever it's called, blacklight, we go back and we start realizing, hold up. Ah, yes, very topical. We start realizing, hold up, there's a lot more to this space than there was before. And so you go back and you get a new, fresh experience of the same space. And here's the number 2. So it's like, oh, hey, there's one of the 5 numbers, assuming you found the quest asking for the numbers. So what was also interesting here is at one point, people started taking the pens off of the string and actually drawing elsewhere, not where I told them to draw. Which is fine, it's interesting. This is what happens when you give people the freedom to interact with the space. It's hard to see up here, but that's where I hit another number. And someone here, I thought this was interesting, also took the pen off the string and realized that this itself is a blacklight. They never found the blacklight flashlights, but they did put it together that this is an invisible ink, and so they wrote these specifically underneath the blacklight light where they knew it would be visible. Now I had left a clue down here. Could there be more? Which is visible, more visible in person. It is visible under the natural blacklight without the flashlight. I was hoping that would be a clue. It turns out most people didn't really put that together, so that was a good learning thing on my part. There's another hidden number back here. It's the number 1. And so here we have more stuff. that was drawn not where it was supposed to be. So let's go back in this space also, this dark area that seems like it hardly has anything in it. And now you actually find out there's a lot going on in this space. So here I wrote to write your name, and I got a lot of names, really quite a bit. So this is again how I can kind of quantify how many people actually found this space and chose to interact with it. So really fun way to collect data. This is one of my tricks right here. Look up. Say look up. Made you look. That one was fun. I had some people leave comments about that too. I have some cryptic things here. Look deeper. I wrote that to kind of be more of an internal psychological thing, but then I later found out that most people interpreted that as they need to use the flashlight to look deeper and start looking down and up and stuff, which was also actually a positive outcome. And then you see this space as an entrance, but you can actually take the flashlight here and start finding more things too. What's inside? And this is also where I hit my favorite number, the number pi. So, yeah, there's a lot more to this space than meets the eye. And that was the most consistent feedback I got from people, was that their favorite part was the stuff that wasn't obvious at first, the stuff that they actually had to look for, that added this element of mystery and discovery that, in my own words, is also giving them a sense of agency, because it is up to them to interact with this space to discover its secrets and make the experience keep going. Here, I'll show you one more hidden number, because again, you have to actually think to look in this space, because you think of this space as being part of the entrance or exit, but there's actually still, there's the number 5 up there. It's still part of this space. I put these series of fabrics here because it actually helps filter out the light from the studio out there in 3 different layers, which is much more controlling for this immersive environment. These lights react to sound. It's a little hard to tell at the moment because of the particular ambient soundtrack that I'm playing, but you'll notice when you really pay attention that it actually follows the consistent rhythm or pattern of the music. It's getting slower now because the music is going out, see? But I'm talking. Now I'm talking, see? So you have to kind of track these things. Also, that fabric glows under black light. Totally unintentional. It's great. That was reused from Burning Man. The vertical wooden structure members were reused from my Burning Man maze. This fabric was gifted to me from a friend. All of the cardboard was harvested either from an appliance store or from a friend who didn't need it anymore because they got a package of some sort with it. The rest of the fabric was donated by people who did not need it. This rope up here was also from Burning Man. That black light from Burning Man. Half of these hanging lights from my room. So a lot of the materials in here are repurposed and reused, and I'm pretty happy with what I was able to create by reusing materials, and I hope that that can be an inspiration for others, that temporary immersive installations such as this don't need to consume a lot of new resources to just be part of something temporary that then is going to go away. You don't have to always burn it or throw it away afterwards. This light strip right here came from my house. We were moving it to another wall and we didn't get around to putting it back up, so I brought it here. Pretty convenient. So that is it for now. We're gonna exit the other exit here, the one that we did not go in. I'll have to look at the data. It seems kind of 50-50 of people going in the same way they went out or different. And now we come out here again. It's a much different looking space. Very unsuspecting. You wouldn't quite imagine the interior to be quite what it was by gracing your eyes upon this exterior. So, thank you for the tour. I am Shane, and I really hope we get to do phase 2. You know, there's circumstances beyond my control, but I'm glad that I could at least show you what was going on. And yeah, cheers. Thank you.